Okay, this is going to be a 30-minute replay review of Reinhardt, Masters on Gibraltar. We'll send this your way as soon as I'm done. Big thing with Reinhardt is you're a giant brick of granite. Whatever angle that you control, almost without exception, you are impossible to remove. The exceptions to that rule are characters like Orisa and Roadhog, and to a lesser extent Ramatra, which is fine because you have a lot more mobility than those characters. So if their concrete block beats your concrete block, well, then you could put your concrete block elsewhere. The interesting thing about hybrid maps and escort maps with Reinhardt is that there's more value, there's more spaces to put the concrete block besides just, oh, go to backline and swing. Because a lot of times the backliners are playing in angles that are honestly just like totally inaccessible for even a more dive tank or brawl tank like Reinhardt. What you could do is you could play angles that involve high ground a lot of the time. You just kind of perma-hold high ground, make it basically impossible for them to take that space away from you. Or you can hold cart, and this is something that even dive characters like Tracer utilize a lot. Whenever you have a self-sufficient character in a hybrid or escort map, because the payload is often so far split, the objective is so far split from the rest of your team, payload is actual space to control. Like there's actual value to being on payload as opposed to elsewhere. Now, right now, the cart's not really in a contestable location, doesn't really matter all that much, but really what's going to be interesting here is to find the balance between when does my Reinhardt want to stop cart and when does my Reinhardt want to be a pile of bricks in the high ground. Now, this is going to be a tough composition to play into. Winston can be a tough matchup. Echo, very tough matchup. Tracer, obviously very tough matchup. You basically have a number of characters that you really cannot swing on. So what that means is that simplifies the process and goes, okay, can I access on a brick? Can I access Winston? If the answer is no, then I'm probably need to be anchoring on high ground or anchoring on card. I don't even mind this angle here. Like, this is good. This angle prevents the Echo from taking here. If the Echo can't take here, she can't poke you out as easily. She can't poke you out as easily. Your team is allowed to hold high ground more. So I think this is exactly, this is a good example of putting your brick elsewhere. And this dropping is tragedy. Because I think like with where your team is and with where the payload is, stopping payload doesn't really matter all that much. Like the soonest that you really want to stop payload is here so that you get a second fight. Now, a lot of this stuff is going to be a little bit more advanced than we normally go into with Reinhardt gameplay. But these are the level of expectations. So I don't hate us stopping the cart here, but it's not really a spot where we want to fight right now. So really very important for us to hold this high ground and anchor and anchor and anchor. Make them force the cart, which is going to grow increasingly difficult because for them to be able to heal cart, their backliners are going to have to walk forward, which means they're going to have to walk into your hammer. Basically, the dance with Reinhardt is you can leverage high ground and let them push the objective until the point to where they need their backline to walk forward to help cart. And when they do that, then they have to walk to where you, your Mei, Lucio, and so on can actually access them. You see, it's not an accident that as soon as you walked back to cart too soon, as soon as you guys fell off of high ground, that their backline immediately takes space afterwards. So I appreciate that you avoided taking too much damage. That's, covering a bad error, but it's important that you're able to hold that space. And really right now, I still think this is too early to control this cart. Like, I really think that you get it to here. You only want to contest cart when you need to, when it has an actual impact on how you guys fight. You, right now, really need to be going top, and I'm glad to see you do that. Unfortunately, it sounds like your Mei had different ideas. And now I think you're just completely split from your team, and I think you're about to get pincered by the Ana. Or maybe the Brig. But yeah, this is just a disaster right now. You're super, super split. And then you're dead. This is just a problem of where is the fight happening and where are you. The fight is not happening here. The fight is happening here. So it's very easy for this Echo to disengage your team, for them to 1, 2, 3, 4-man, heck, even 5-man focus you, and your team can do nothing about it. So obviously in a more open map, it's more difficult to be aware of where people are and where the fights are happening, but it's very important that you do so, and this is a good example of why that hasn't happened. Yeah. Again, I think you're too far forward. I think with your Mei and spawn, you got to be really careful about how much space that you take because they've got 3 or 4 people that can isolate you. You got a Cassian spawn too. I mean, I appreciate the fire strike, but that's just total luck. That's total happenstance. Sure. Don't have any major issues with anything that's happening mechanically here. I mean, it makes total sense. It's well done. It's just a question of when this fight needed to happen and when you were actually taking space. Second time in a row that that's cost you this fight. Okay, let's keep going. Now, I do think you can, and I do think it's worth taking this top here. You have to be careful of like sleep dart and so on, but I think you can pop up here if you'd like to. So anchor them off of high ground, because it's a very important space for the enemy team. And then from here, I think dropping card is fine. But there's also enough time here with where the card is for you to be able to pin across here and clear out the Ana or force the Ana back a little bit first. The question is the Ana accessible now that I'm looking at it again? It's been a while since I've coached Rein in Gibraltar. Maybe this time it's okay because there isn't really any other cinder block to position yourself with. Yeah, this is fine. Okay, so let's talk about this. A lot of this is how your team is responding to you taking action. You are taking a decent amount of damage here. Oh dear. I feel like you're playing in a stack. It has to be, no? Because I look at what your Cassie does and it's just brain rot. I don't hate what's happening here from you. I'm not going to lie with you. The only thing I could say is that it's important for you in situations like this to avoid taking damage. So for example, when you drop here, just drop shield. Taking top. Avoid the whip shot there, for example. And I actually think here in this situation, it's not likely that you're going to be able to do anything. So holding, don't pin in at half HP. You're just basically praying that she doesn't have any awareness. Hold the top, and then decide if you want to go die in card instead. Clear top. Blind fire strikes, I don't love him. No. It's just a skill check, right? It's a skill check. Is that Winston going to be smart enough? In fact, it's not even if the Winston's going to be smart enough. He doesn't really have any reason to stay in card anyway. So this might have not, he might not even been trying to dodge your shatter. Yeah, like, look, he wasn't even dodging your shatter. You see? He just wanted to go back up top. So you need a good reason. You could sit on cart here and basically just hold the cart, hold the cart, hold the backline, hold the backline. And then when Winston does decide to go on you or your backline bubble breaks, then you shatter here. So this is a little bit lucky and unlucky at the same time, but it's not a really poorly well thought out shatter. And I don't even think you saw the Ana there. Yeah, you didn't. Shield. Oh, no. Yeah, I mean, even then, it's still not super well executed. That's just where, you know, swinging when Brig has bash goes a long way instead. Okay, do I want to look at any more of the Rein here? I think your tempo in relation to your team, your positioning in relation to your team has been pretty messy. A little bit random with the fire strikes. And I think obviously some of the micro with like the shatter. So we'll leave it at that. I actually don't even want to look at the diva because it sounds like we do nothing but play Winston the rest of the time as well. Just not super well executed in how you play the Reinhardt. The ideas were there. The execution was not. That's my main feedback there. And especially in relation to like where the payload is, where you're taking fights, and where your team is needs to improve. Okay, let's take a look at some Winston here. Like I said, we don't even look at diva because it was so incredibly fast. Wow, you guys did get smoked. All right, let's take a look here.
2, 1. Attackers incoming.
Probably didn't need to bubble there. You didn't get any major zaps on anything that isn't Winston from there, so there's no point bubbling. In that situation, the best thing that you can do is just duck behind the corner. Now you're thinking, oh, but I wanted to enable my echo. If that's the case, that's okay. But generally not the most appropriate thing there. You didn't need it. And then this is insanity. Even without sleep dart, nade, whip shot, anything, even just normal echo damage, you should lose so much HP for that. So the jump is well placed, but obviously without bubble, you have to be so incredibly careful. Not just into this composition, this is just a general rule. Bubble's fine. Obviously you're missing a lot of HP, and the reason you're missing HP is because of this little side quest here, right? So that costs about 150 HP right there. And then in addition to that, if you're not happy with the position that your HP is in, it might be okay to just chill for a second. Just wait it out for just a brief second before you go in. Because that death, or that almost death, feels so unearned, given the fact that you just needed to wait a second and then go for the engage. Again, the execution of the jump is fine. It's just, you need the HP for it. Okay, cart's gone far enough. We can start to contest top. That's a good jump. It's a good bubble. Good jump because you engaged in a location from an angle to where the Brig was unable to whip. Good bubble because it cuts off the Brigitte and Ana and allows you to get some extra zaps. This is a little bit cheeky, but obviously you have the HP, the advantage, and the fact that you know that the Ana can't see you. Probably wouldn't purposefully peek the Ana there, though. That's just a skill check on her and she failed it, but still not a good play. This is fine. No complaints. We keep going. Yeah, it's fine. Stage top, please, just to make sure they don't recontest. They don't. Take top. This is fine. This is a response to your Echo doing something, so you're going in super deep because your Echo does something. That's fine. But you need to get out immediately now. Yeah, this, I'm going to be honest with you. This is just objectively bad. It's one of those plays that works out, and so you might be like, oh, but it was the right play. No, it was not the right play. Under no circumstance should a pocketed Brig Ana in their spawn with no help from your team at all should you live this with Primal Rage. No. I don't know what happened with their cooldowns. I don't know what happened with the Ana's healing. I don't know what happened with her nade or sleep dart here. If that's why you did this, if you could tell me and say, I saw both sleep and nade, this is why I did this, then this gets the pass. Otherwise, no. Gross misplay from this backline. Using Primal to stagger kills is totally fine. Using any ultimate to stagger kills in this situation is actually totally fine because you're going to get yourself in a last fight scenario with how badly staggered they are. It's just not something you expect to work in a 2v1 without bubble. That's the key thing. And by without bubble, I mean you go for the trade and then have to pursue an Ana without bubble. Okay, this is some of the worst support play I've seen in a long time. I don't know what the frick is happening here. I get it. It's Kitsune Rush. Try to get value, but this is just a horrible Kitsune Rush. Yep, zone backline. Good bubble. Use that opportunity to alt fire a little bit on Echo. Yeah, I think this is fine. You needed to disengage. You held the short angle. Just needed to pull out. Bubble and get out if you can. Nice, so you get Primal Rage out too. Okay, that's a fine fight. Looking for Tracer. It's fine. Don't take unnecessary damage and die from underneath to avoid the Brigitte. Go. There's Sleep Dart. Drop bubble. Need to drop bubble sooner versus the Brig when your angle isn't that good. Because we're going super in detail because of the rank of this review. This is like one of those things where it's like, because you're coming from underneath but not directly underneath, this distance means you must bubble. Otherwise you get whipped. Now you might think, oh, well then I didn't have to bubble. Well, that's fair, but that's a little bit of hindsight. Usually you'd expect you need to bubble there because it'd be stickies or echo damage or anything there. So just keep that in mind. Good re-engage here. Bubble again needs to be sooner. What's happening is because they're not punishing you, you're getting a lot of greed with your bubbles, but it's hindsight to assume that that's going to work. And sometimes it's not. Like, for example, here, because you're a little late with your bubble, you still get chunked about 200 damage there that probably didn't need to happen. Nice. I knew where you're going. You're going boxes. That probably would have been okay without the Ana. Bubble's fine. You're inside your bubble. You're not on the edge. So just where you place this bubble is fine, but where you end up on the bubble is not. So this is where you actually need to back to the bubble edge and not stand in the middle. You're indecisive, which means you take a lot of damage. Sure. Nice. Good. That's fine. You guys should cap off that. Okay, we keep going. Just wait, just wait, just wait. This is too soon. This is too soon. This is where the payload is. It's the same mistake you're making with Reinhardt right now. This Sigma has overextended himself. This backline is not involved. You don't need to care about this backline. Honestly, bubble off this Sigma, force them out, and then go from there. It's not that it's a target priority problem here. It's the fact that you're diving people that are not involved in the fight at all. The Sigma's trolling. Let him troll. I like the bubble placement here to preserve your HP, though. I will say that. That was good. That was what we needed earlier. That was not good. That needed better, more discipline with your cover usage. It feels like a little bit of the hubris that you've had in this attack is catching up with you, and we'll see if you adjust. Yep. Now, ironically here, this is where I wouldn't have minded you to do the angle that you did earlier. Because now, this backline is actually involved, and your team is actually in a position to push. So now, I actually would have preferred the backline dive this time. The deep blind dive, totally fine. That's fine. A little bit cheeky outside of the bubble, though. There is always going to be risk doing this. It just didn't work out. This is where it probably would have been better to drop bubble and let it go from there. Don't greed for the kill. They're popping nano. They're popping rally. You're not likely to get the kill. Play within your limits. Otherwise, this happens. It's just a question of whether taking the space that you've been given and winning the fight, or whether playing for the kill is worth it. And I don't think playing the kill is worth it there. Again, this isn't the play. This isn't the play. Number one, your team still isn't set up yet, right? You need to give them a couple more seconds, just a little bit more time. And then now, this is just a play where if you're going to go for the Sigma trade, I mean, this is probably fine, but it would be at least worth peeking here to see what you get, right? Maybe you don't, I don't want to all in here. They're going to copy me or copy somebody and kill me, right? That's fine. But this is an actual play now because the Sigma's not completely isolated with the backline and Narnia, right? They're right there. So this is a situation where a tank trade isn't a 100% necessary anymore. And then in addition to that, when you take the tank trade, try to end in a spot where your next dive is going to be easier. So I'm going to pause the video here, and I want you to tell me, where's the next step to make the dive easier? If you wanted to go for backline here, what would be a better angle for that? So I think you take the tank trade and then tuck towards here. And then from here, they have to make a choice. You either can walk in, bubble, isolate the Sigma this way, or even go for a direct dive, or they all turn and focus you, turning their back on your backline. It's a risk. Attack is always a risk, but this is a recognition that I think you can go for here, where if you are going to have the tank trade, use it as an opportunity to stage the next dive better. Whereas here, we've essentially just started from scratch. Did you win or lose that cooldown trade? Neither. Nothing really happened. Okay, let's just reset. Okay. Drop bubble. Drop bubble. Drop bubble. Yep. There's the respect that we want to see. It's a little bit cheeky, but we're going to get a lot of space out of this. Nice juggle. Play your life. Do it. Yeah. Good stuff. That was a really, really, really well played series of events. Let's highlight a couple of these things. It wasn't perfect, but it was good. Number one, you stage from left onto left. A little too much alt fire, a little too much damage being taken here. This guy's just going to get a pack and continue to melt you, so be careful with this. Which then means that this dive here is not as effective as it ought to be, because this is the correct decision. You take the angle, your team is initiated, and you go for the backline. You bubble off backline reasoning that I can't get to them before I get CC'd. Okay, totally fine. Zoning. Sigma's isolated. We win the tank trade on Sigma. Meanwhile, heck, you could even be regenerating your HP here if you'd been a little bit better. From here, you go, well, I want to keep controlling backline. I'm going to jump to avoid the CC. Land and greed into a Primal Rage. Now, that's where I would have preferred Primal Rage there. Because if that Ana still has Sleep Dart, and she does, or she should have, she sleeps you here and you die. So jump, land, Primal, right? So that way, even if she sleeps you, the play still works. We're winning the tank trade. Get a really nice juggle here. This jump here was clean. That S key jump was beautiful. You go, oh no, we've zoned. All I need to do is live, grab the mini, jump out, and reset on your angle. Really well done. On your angle, I don't like the tank trade angle. Just stand here and hold bubble. It's okay to tank trade, but do so from an angle. This bubble sucks. All of a sudden, our brains have gone out the window. Our tank trading is, or just our trading in general is not great. Just sit here. Sit here. Sit here. And then, oh, squash that, right? At least we're tank trading on an angle, but that bubble was very strange. We should be okay because we have 2 ults and they have Jack. So yeah, okay. So what I'm seeing here is sometimes a little too much damage being taken and not as much respect given to our bubble cycle. I am also seeing some situations when we're taking a tank trade when other maps or points are opened up. It's been a lot of little different things. And this is where I think this is where you could use, I mean, we're going to keep looking here, right? But this is where you can kind of utilize your own experience with your Winston play and your own self-awareness about like what your strengths and what your weaknesses are. Because I don't know that there's really a narrative here. I'd love to establish a narrative, but it honestly feels like a little bit like popcorn right now. A little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So we'll keep an eye out. This bubble is fine. You managed to stay on the perimeter, or keep them on the perimeter. A little bit greedy here, but again, you have the HP for it, you have the advantage, and you're able to land on a slight angle. Get juked, you're fine. Probably would go back to top here as soon as you can. This feels too soon, and I think maybe that's the consistent theme here, is that sometimes it just feels like you force a trade when there isn't really anything to be done. You don't really know where your team is. You know what, actually in hindsight, is this... You know what, no, I think you're actually good here. I do think that that's the case with you. But let me listen. Yeah, you hear the Winston jump. This is fine. This is fine. If anything, that bubble is just too late. I think that okay. So it's actually one habit that's true, but not necessarily applicable here, to another habit that's definitely true and definitely applicable here, where your bubble greed versus characters like Ana and Brig, my goodness. Like, I don't know what she just not have cooldowns? She just doesn't use them. The Brig doesn't even whip you. But yeah, like I really think you need to give a little bit more respect to backliners because they're not punishing you consistently, but when they are, it's crippling you. So you just got to be really careful of this. The engage is fine, but it's just, oh my days. And even though they don't CC you, look at your HP. Right? I mean, that's a lot of armor, right? So even though they quote-unquote didn't punish you, and yes, you would still be getting cleaved by Brig. We know that. This still isn't an optimal engage because I want to see you still in armor here. If you're still in armor, you live this. You know? Or at least come a lot closer to. So the timing of your bubble, depending on who you're shooting, especially with characters with burst, CC, etc., is something to work on. This feels a bit early with where your team is positioned. Maybe just wait a half a second. Let's check the timing of this bubble. That one's better. Preserves your HP. And you can see your passive heal actually kicking in now. Beautiful. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Just chill. Just chill. Okay, now you need to do it because your Genji's in. But your Genji ends up paying for it. Yeah, I mean, that's just a disaster between you and your Genji. I'm going to blame your Genji for the Lions portion of it because I don't think you were actually going to go in. I think I think you're giving it reasonable amount of respect. But yeah. Okay. Probably not winnable. Yeah, that's not winnable. Okay, next. Wait. Wait, am I a hater? I'm a hater. How does anybody die? Why do they just not shoot you? Oh my gosh, the Ana insit. That's crazy. Your Genji carries and the Ana insit majorly. Wait.
Adaptive circuits engaged.
Oh my gosh, that is unreal. That's one of the craziest clutches I've ever seen in a ranked game, at least in the last year or so. What did I tell you about bubble timing? It's just disrespectful. And to be honest with you, I kind of get it to an extent. This backline has done a really bad job, but this is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, there's there's no real downside to giving the enemy backline respect. It's not about like, oh, I'm going to greet it until I can't anymore. Because you only gain marginal value out of greeting it more. But you get major punishment if you mess it up. Like, you bubbling, not now, but like a little bit later, isn't that big of a deal. But you know what is a big deal? Not getting slept or naded or booped by Lucio here. I mean, this sucks. Like, that completely takes the teeth out of that engage. Completely. Like, even here. Like, come on. Come on. You're better than that. I mean, look at that. That is game-losing mistake right there. Game-losing mistake right there. And it almost happened again. Right? Bubble timing is a mechanic in of itself, and it's going to be your gateway into actually getting yourself into consistently Grandmaster, if this is the character you're going to be putting a lot of time on.
This ends now.
Sure? She's out? Ignore. Think she's going to come back? Now. Jump back. Jump back. Jump back. Now. Oh, never mind. Your Genji took care of it for you. Sure. We keep going. Now, be careful. One of your other habits was overextension in relation to your team. So this kind of stuff right here, this little alt fire tickling, be careful. Be careful. Be careful. Be careful. They're going to clear you. I think you should probably just take an honest fight from here. I think maybe a little bit of scouting, but I don't know that your team is going to be able to follow up here. I just don't, I don't know what your team can shoot right now. It's just you right now. You have a good angle on it. But you don't want to know why? Do you want to know why your backline died to pulse bomb? Check it. Okay, never mind. My whole narrative that I was going to establish was that your team walked forward to assist with your push when they had to overextend to do so. But no, your backline just got trolled. That's it. But you get what I'm saying. The play is fine. But the play in relation to your team, and this literally goes back to your Reinhardt gameplay, is not. Your mechanics are not a question here. Mechanics, I would say, are better than your rank. Let's keep going, and we'll wrap this up. Chill. Chill. I wouldn't even necessarily peek there, to be honest with you. Way too much damage being taken. Didn't need to bubble that. You can zap that if you want. I wouldn't bother zapping. Too much. Or alt firing. Take your top, take your top, take your top. If you don't have to stop cart, don't stop cart. You don't have to stop cart here, so don't stop cart. If you're gonna stop cart, you need to stop it here, where your team can actually pocket you comfortably. This is really uncomfortable. So one of the rules in the Overwatch League is we almost always stopped cart here because it was really easy to pocket a Winston or whatever here. But we never stopped cart here. It's too naked. It's too awkward. It's really easy for their backline to pocket cart. It's not so easy for your backline to pocket cart. So you're taking fights on angles that don't make a lot of sense. Takes some experience on this map, I understand. But you either need to stage top and or let this cart go, or both. Not a favorable cooldown trade for your team. Even here, take the time to wrap around. Look for a drop on backline. Nobody's contesting that angle right now. Nobody. Why peek here when you could be here? There's your nade, there's your follow-up. Use what the map gives you. Honestly, I felt like you could have been a little bit greedier with that bubble, but yeah, that's fine. Good stuff. Careful, careful, careful. You're down, you're... Ooh. Okay. Nice. Didn't even sweat, baby. Again, I really want you to stage top. You are not positioned to stop cart anywhere near here. You're here to stop cart here. But you still take a trade here, or you take a trade here. It's like you've kind of forgotten what makes Winston work here, like high grounds, and they're giving it to you for free, mate. They're not even contesting top at all. They're not even soft diving or anything. And your backline is still there. Use it, mate. Use it. You're taking these super deep dives down main. Just take what's given. You know? Get off the floor. Wrap the flank. Wrap the flank. You don't need to dive here. You could just wrap the flank, drop, get nano here. Or don't even get nano. All of your angles have gone out the window. All of your angles have gone out the window. We're staging dives from main from a million miles away. All of your angles have gone out the window. Your quality of engagement has been really bad in this defense. The only thing saving is that their backline has been equally incompetent at taking space, but that's kind of why those high grounds have been so free, right? They're not even clearing top. They're not setting, like if I see backlines here and Winston sitting on the floor, man, get your on a brig Sojourn up here and laugh. Easy, easy, easy free low. It's fine. Definitely a situation where you might want to consider primaling early here. Yeah, there it is. Because you get slept at 300 HP, you're probably dead. Good primal. Play your life. Play your life. Play your life. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. You hear copy on D.Va. You know they're using an ult for ult here. Ah, again, they agreed with the bubble. You're dead. Oh, no, you're not dead. Okay, well, screw me, mate. Basically dead. Almost dead. Sort of dead. Half dead. Quarter dead. Sure. Check your team's positioning. We're not set up to fight here. We're set up to fight here. So stage there. Thank you. Good. A little deep, but I assume your team has rotated, and they have. So a little deep still, though. You need to get out. You need to get out. You need to get out. Play life. Play life. Yeah, it's just a little... Okay, so... It's the same kind of issue. Just, like, look at where your Ana is and look at where you are right now. Like, I don't think you can draw a single line and draw you any further apart. It's on paper a good dive, just not in execution given the way your backline is positioned. And that is, again, an issue. Sure. Weird bubble. It was neither defensive nor offensive. You waited a long time and then didn't wait long enough. You could either bubble there early or not. Yeah, this is next fight. Alright. Last fight here. Could probably take top with this. If Ana's too far, you just clear that angle out. You've got primal. Go for it. Be decisive. Bubble that if you need to. Don't preserve. You need to bubble preserve your HP and make sure that she's out. Right? Don't feel like, oh, I need to say bubble for Ana dive. No, bubble to get her out, and then do your next bubble on Ana dive because you've not gotten her out and you've bled a lot of HP. Yes, 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 yes. Even without the kill there, that was much better. Nice. It's fine. Good. And we're cooking. Nice job. Okay. Greed of bubbles. Sometimes. Awareness of your backline. Sometimes. And where people are taking fights. General staging and positioning at points. It was consistent, inconsistent. Sometimes it was good. Sometimes it was bad. Those are the three main points I'd put onto practice. A lot of this is more map specific stuff, but I think it extrapolates a lot to other maps too. So just keep that in mind. All right, mate.